Hopefully, it's going right behind the other one, and I didn't lose anything. And we was talking about forms of vehicles whenever we're doing different types of activities. Um, I'm in this. I got a form right now. Just I want to show you something in the middle. Okay, so we can have an idea of the direction I want to go in. Like a memorandum of law and points and authorities. I'm gonna put it on the doc. I'm gonna put it on the board because I want you to see what it looks like. Okay. Okay. This is what a memorandum of law looks like here. Okay. This has come from a West publication here. All right. This is from a West publication here. Yeah, that's part one of it. But if you notice, and then you have the back part of it. But this is dealing with a summary judgment motion. Okay. So I just want you to see as far as the vehicle. Now, when do we use this summary judgment motion? This summary judgment motion will most likely be used after we went through all of the preliminaries and discovery, or if there's no material issues of fact or law to be disputed, and that is basically they have no they have requested relief where relief could not be granted. It's something to think about. Oh, excuse me. It's something to think about. So we're gonna go back into this here, just to give you an idea of the position that I'm trying to get you to understand. So this is the other side of after you went through a complaint, okay, and then he answered it. Then he came with a motion. You came back with a motion, but in order for your motion to be, you want to settle the motion, because let's say you're even finished with discovery now. You got discovery, you got interrogatories, um, you got your pleadings, everything's in your favor. So because it's all in your favor and it's been all authenticated, you're moving now with a motion for summary judgment, which is what this memorandum of law was attacking and dealing with here. So what we have here, and in dealing with that, we have the statement of the facts. Okay, so we got to stay online with what it is that we're trying to make a claim to. Okay, now from the statements of the facts, you got the statement of the law, what the law is saying here. Okay, by this motion of summary judgment brought pursuant to the rule of law, the defendant contends that the plaintiff's lacks merit. Okay, this is a statement of law. It lacks merit, and he's entitled to summary judgment as a matter of law because the plaintiff cannot prove actual, in this particular matter, malice by clear and convincing evidence. And alternatively, truth is an absolute defense to a defamation claim. So this is something that's pertaining to that there. So they went through all of their preliminaries and their proceedings here. Okay, then you got the legal argument here. Let's look at what their legal argument is. The defendant is entitled to summary judgment because he did not act with actual malice. So their legal argument is that they never had any malice um, when this was done. So they're saying they should be granted the relief, even though this did take place. There was no malice involved, and not only was there not no malice involved from their statement of the law and statement of facts, they have shown how this case uh, is in their favor and not in opposition to the relief that they're claiming. Okay, so let's go. I'm just want to touch a piece on here, just so we understand the same page here. I'm basically talking to myself right now. I'm gonna put it online. I'm used to interacting with people and things of that nature, and lecturing and stuff like that. Okay. It says the proponent, which is the individual, of a summary judgment motion must make a prima facie showing of entitlement to judgment as a matter of law. So we see the statement of laws up above that point on that first page that I show you. Tending sufficient evidence to eliminate any material issues of fact from the case. So we talk about law, and then they said any material facts from the case. And I just made that claim to you. There's no material issues of fact or law in this case here. Then they gave a case that says when a public figure is the plaintiff in the defamation case, the court should grant summary judgment dismissing the complaint if a reasonable jury would not find that the plaintiff had established actual malice by clear and convincing evidence. Then they gave the case. So this is how this would take place here. So we into the legal argument now. Although this legal argument was like basically short, it's a little longer than what I was talking to. But that section, each one is a section. Okay, it's another way of you doing it too. It's called IRAC. Issue, ruling, analyst, and conclusion is similar to this right here. Statement of facts, the statement of the law, um, the legal argument, and then they have conclusion. They just changed it up. There's more than one different way of doing the memorandum of law and highlighting your contents in the way that you want it to be. This is not just all this traffic court stuff, because you got a lot of guys that I don't know, claim to be all kinds of things from traffic court matters. That's not anything. Um, we as Moorish Americans should know better than that. So the issue here is that our birthrights, sovereign economic, social, and political rights. So granted, the right to travel. We've been doing that for quite some time. We got to get into other areas here. Because housing is a very serious issue, and us establishing our community. And because of this COVID situation that's going down right now, I'm finding that we had a totally disadvantage in terms, but at the same time, a more of an advantage. Those of us who do get online and start communicating and sharing, and from this, I believe, even though we have various different groups, this type of like connecting through Zoom, and talking about these issues and coming up with this Congress. We got to get this Congress together. I'm telling you, brothers, y'all better get it right, man. Okay? We've been doing this for quite some time now. We got 100 years on the map. All right? There's a lot of things at stake right now. But if you're not paying attention, you're going to cause us to miss the daggone mark. And we're not trying to miss the mark. Okay? There's a lot of us that have been doing a lot of different works. You brothers need to learn to sit down because there's a lot of things at stake when it comes to our family, our women, and our children. Y'all see what's about to happen with this vaccination thing. They go on the door to door. If y'all go online and pick this thing up, they claim that they can go door to door and intrusively invade into your privacy and come into your house because of this new norm that they have and do exactly what they so desire want to do. So the question here is it constitutional? Because all I keep hearing from Moorish Americans is that we must enforce the law. The prophet said enforce the law. So if you don't know what the law is, how are you going to enforce anything? So the first thing we got to do is find out what is the law in order for us to enforce the law. And then in order to enforce it, we got to know the proper vehicle in order for us to get to the destination where we're trying to go with this thing. Because you just ain't going to be running up in there with anything you want to say out your mouth. So what format are you going to use? Are we coming as an organization, international organization? What types of groups get to be heard in what types of court when they're organized, which what you brothers and sisters don't want to seem to do. Or then when you do get organized, you want to be, like I said, Big Willie and keep separate. We got to come together. It's a circle. Nothing lives alone unto its own self. Everything is bound by a cord to every other living thing. I don't understand. You can't have this knowledge. You can't have this material. Say that you are this, but yet not conform to the instructions. You can't. No one is saying that you got to be perfect on what it is that you're trying to go after, because we already know you're not entirely good nor entirely evil. But he gave you something to subdue it so that you won't excel in what is evil about the nature of man. But this wisdom got to flow. We have to come together in order for us to start demonstrating what a birthright actually is. I know a lot of y'all now from this new norm gonna have a lot of fear, especially coming from the LBGT community. Starting from that, a lot of fear is going to be in the air about what it is that you say that may be politically incorrect. And it has nothing to do with making agitating speeches against anything in public. That's one thing we won't be doing because we're on conference call. There's no agitating speeches, but it's an educational course pertaining to the inherited birthrights of Moors, referred to as Negroes, which the law states could never become equal members nor citizens of the Union State Republic right order. This is a fact, and this is the law. Ellen versus Valkenbrown, 43 Cal 43. This is not no or what you would call agitating speech against the government. This is what the law is, and it tells you that no white person is subject to this newly enacted amendment, which these Africans of Negro descent or Negro blood gave them the boon of freedom. Something for us to think about here. So I'm trying to, I want to have a discussion, and I think y'all brothers and sisters, it's not about debates and entertainment and all that, because if you're really saying that saying something, let me see, get in the courtroom. Take a client, get in the courtroom. I know you're not a lawyer, but still take a more and take a few others with you. If you are experts that you see that y'all are out there, let's see you do this and involve yourself in these people's cases. So these are the things that we need to start doing too. Okay? For adequate representation and support. Because most of the time you're being slandered. Why? How do you mean? Because you're being slandered as a nigger. That's the first way I take your child from you. First prove that you're a nigger. Once I prove you're a nigger, you award. But you keep going around all this other stuff, and before you know, you're subject to the jurisdiction. Because again, you don't know the right vehicle, or you don't stay still long enough. Why? Because you're picking up too much of the patriot information from without. I just said more referred to as Negroes can never become members of no citizens. And I even gave you a case, but you would go into all this other stuff about this straw man and everybody else that ain't got nothing to do with what we talking about. Ain't no straw in here. We need to get this right. So this is just a small little thing. I want to say some things to y'all. My name is Messiah Ali Bey. I should have said that when I came into the tape, but this is part two of the one I cut it off. I'm just getting used to this here. However, like I said, these are issues that's very important to our community. Okay, economic, social, and political issues. And now with this new law, so my thing is, like I said from the beginning, I'm into creative writing. Okay, creative writing is everything to me. Why? Because you can't tell me what your story is. If you can't write it, anybody can talk, but let me see you write it. What's your story? So, my brothers and sisters, let's get ready to start communicating. I'm gonna try and set up a page where we can do some dialogue or something from there, and then get some Zoom maybe for those of you who are Moorish Americans. It's going out to the public, which is the World Wide Web. But those of you who are Moorish Americans or even aspiring to learn about national status and defense and how to protect it. Protection is everything. Okay, because you can't protect your family, you don't know how to protect your birthrights. So I'm gonna say peace, and I'm gonna see you later on as soon as I get this thing together. All right. Hopefully I don't lose anything.